Today, our conversation for this fireside chat is on responsible AI and emerging technology. And for those who know my style of moderating, it's about a conversation. All of us here are panelists and moderators. We are just up here just because somehow we got this privilege. I would like to start with opening remarks. We are going to be speaking around the context and significance of artificial intelligence, responsible artificial intelligence, and emerging technologies. We know that everybody here today, at least I hope so, has been exposed to AI. You know, maybe about 15 years ago, I would sit in a room like this and ask, who has not used social media? I mean, there were still people who had not started using social media at that time. Today, what I want to ask is, now usione haya, it's okay. We've all been there somewhere. Who has not used an artificial intelligence platform in this room? Please raise your hand. Who has not used an artificial intelligence platform? AI, DeepSeek, ChatGPT, whatever. Who has not? That's the world we live in, yeah? AI now has become like social media. Everybody is using it, right? But how do we get ourselves to the point where we are starting to use it responsibly? We as Africans are participating in it actively, not just as data inputters of artificial intelligence, because as we all know, there's still a lot of bias, and there's also still a lot of hallucinations in artificial intelligence. So let me kick off with an introduction and an opening statement from Madam Immaculate Kasait. Over to you, Madam. Mic, please, for Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali, the President of KICTANet, and my fellow panelists and participants of this wonderful forum, Internet Governance. Good evening. Kwani mko na usingizi? Good evening.
Good evening.
Ama tuko kwa simu. You know, in my other life was training, I would have told all of you, tuchukue simu, tuweke pale kando. But I think if I try to do that here,
no, it won't work.
It won't work. It won't work. Interesting how things are going. My name is Immaculate Kasait, Data Commissioner. I'm happy to be here today. And just as a way of introduction, I think 2 years ago when we had a conversation, I was on a side chat with Ali, and then the big thing was ChatGDP.
Correct.
And if then I didn't even know what it was. I had to go and Google. Hi and Shiko were shooting from everywhere. I mean, and I was like, what? And then it was just emerging. It's amazing that in less than 2 years, we have so many different AI models, and they keep changing. For me, it's a ripe conversation. It's the place to be. The concerns we are discussing here, whether we are ready, whether we have the necessary skills and infrastructure. Are we as Africa? What does it mean ethically? Conversation. When we do not necessarily have all the answers, but the important conversation, because it's in this room, majority of the people are involved in this space of tech in one way or another. So it helps inform even us as we listen. And for me, it's really a big privilege to be here, because it's through this interaction, listening to industry, listening to practitioners, listening to researchers, listening to academia, then it becomes much more informative, even for us who are in the regulatory space. So I'm happy to be here to just have this conversation and listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Immaculate. Asante sana. Liz, over to you.
Mabibi na mabwana, hamjamboni.
Hatujambo.
Thank you. That's where my Kiswahili ends. We usually say that we need localized AI. AI needs to speak Swahili, but do Kenyans read and speak Swahili? I usually hear us speaking Swahili, but reading Swahili, I've never seen a Kenyan with a Swahili Bible. So how do we want AI to give us Swahili content? Tutafakarini hayo. In my opening remarks, I would say that we now live in a data-driven emerging technology. We live in a 4IR. So we have the AI, we have 3D printing, and we also have others, IoT, quantum computing, and things like that. They are all data reliant. And I think Kenya, we are very, very advantaged. As much as we usually complain all the time, we are so advantaged because very many of us, if not 90% of us, use digital technology. That is data that is being generated. That is data that can be used to drive emerging technologies. And what I would say is that there's a lot of hype on AI. Countries are saying that there's a big opportunity in harnessing the AI and data. But I would also like to say that it's not going to fall as manna. We have to work for it, for us to get that benefit. We have to see how are we going to govern data, how are we going to govern our own technologies in a way that we harness the benefits of emerging technology. And I think this forum is now bringing us together, different stakeholders, to tell us the truth. When people are saying that AI will not take our jobs, don't fear AI taking your jobs. We need frank people from different industries telling us actually AI is going to do 1, 2, 3 things, and look at it as the technology it is. People say that technology is neutral. Is it neutral to you? Yeah, I'll stop there.
Thank you, Liz. Asante sana. Tunashukuru na ningekuomba unitafute nianze kukufundisha Kiswahili. Tafadhali. Joe. Yes. So, as a sidebar, Joe is a good friend of mine, and in our circles we call him Joe as a service. Yes. And he will tell you why we call him Joe as a service. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I think captains of Emirates Airline like saying boys and girls. So today I'm going to use it here because I realized there is quite a generation of young professionals. I saw the graduates who are lined up here by Barack, so kudos. They are graduating in internet governance. I think I studied internet technology as a first-year student at the university studying computer science in the year 2001. And that was so close to when the internet was invented, 1983. It's just amazing just how far we have come. The internet has been the one driving innovation for the last 30 years or so, and it continues to do so, but we are seeing AI come in very strong. But we'll get to the crux of the discussion. So my name is Joe, I work at Safaricom, but I've been around. Don't think this guy looks young. I've been around, I'm just resistant to age, or maybe I'm using a technology to keep the face up and running. So my role at Safaricom is to help the business to digitally transform. So the question is, what does that really mean? It means that the business has to be digitally ready to take advantage of all technologies as they come through. Because if we are not, then you will be the msema kweli. The customer is always the msema kweli. You have to be where the customer really is, and you must be able to serve all the products and services where the customer is. So if they are on social media platforms, we'll be there. We'll have to figure out mobile commerce. We'll have to figure out social commerce. If you're on TikTok, lazima tukue huko hata kama bado sisi ni wazee. And with AI coming in handy.
Mzee ni wewe, baba.
Mzee ni mimi. No problem. The thing is, when you look at the emerging technologies that have been enumerated here by my colleague here, artificial intelligence, digital twins, you hear these things, XR, augmented reality, virtual reality. These technologies are emerging, meaning they are growing at scale and they are coming in right now. But they're also finding some emerged technologies. You know, that's what I keep saying. We forget that the database will always remain a very important technology. So it should always be a fusion of the new and the established, because in the established, we know more about the established, but we are fledgling in terms of what we are adopting when it's new. So it will always be a balance. But another point I want to make in my opening remarks is that it must always be about four things when you talk about technology. Technology itself is a tool, it's an enabler, but we must always remember that there is a process. I've never seen an organization, whether it's government or business, a small, large, whatever, it runs through a business process. There's always a process that underpins something. So we must always remember that. Then number three, data. Data is so essential right now and you can see we have the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner here, because data is an asset, but an asset which can become a good thing to have, or it can become evil. You can have a lot of data but no information, which is the paradox of our time. We have so much data, but we have very scanty information in terms of making decisions. Then the last one is people. People, whether they are customers, they are employees, business partners, regulators, there's always a person at the end of every process, regardless of the technology we discuss. And if we leave the people behind, then we know ethical issues will come up, marginalization will come up. So it must always be about that quadruple angle that we must always discuss. So thank you very much. Very glad to be here this evening.
Thank you so much, Joe. Asante sana. Esther, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ali. My name's Dr. Esther Hakata. I am the director in charge of research and postgraduate courses at Strathmore University at the School of Computing and Engineering Sciences. I have seen a few alumnus from our school, the then called Faculty of Information Technology, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Grace. I really do appreciate it. And if I may speak around the emerging techs, one of the things that came to mind actually, because in the space where we are in, and depending on how you want to look at it, especially in the field of academia, we are right in the mix of it, yeah, with all our LLMs, left, right, and center. You ask students to give you an opinion about something. We don't think anymore. Yeah, we have the GPTs to think on our behalf, which we really do, a good job at times. Yeah, and the one thing I would like to actually comment regarding the emerging tech is that looking at the direction of AI reminds me of the days when the calculator was invented. Yeah, and there was public outcry that the calculator is here, mathematics is going to get very easy, and everybody is going to be passing, yeah? And because of that, I always ask myself, for example, in this room, how many of us got a plain A in mathematics? I did. We are accountable. Perfect, yeah? Don't worry, somewhere, immaculate. Yeah, so when I also look at AI, when I look at emerging tech, I am here to assure a few people that for sure, when we look at the replacement of the human in terms of tech, that is inevitable in some instances. However, we still need humans to train, to give us the information so that we train the bots, yeah? Joe will now tell us that we do not need to wait on Safaricom for an hour. Yeah, press 1, press 2, press 1 again, yeah? And those are actually underlying bots that are helping us to become a bit more efficient, yeah? So tech is here to stay, it's not going anywhere. We are here to stay with it, yeah? It's up to us to rise to the occasion, see what it offers us, and then work with that and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Before I come back to my panelists, I have a question for everybody in the room, including my panelists. What is the Swahili word for artificial intelligence? Now, the first person who gets it right has lunch with the chairman next week. at my favorite restaurant. Yes, Anne? Nope, not Akili Bandia. I knew everybody's gonna go there. It's not Akili Bandia. Yes, sir. Akili Mnemba. Boss, lunch is on me. Akili Mnemba. No, this, let me tell you why this is now the standard correct version. And please hold it, I'm going to explain this in Kiswahili. Neno mnemba katika istilahi ya Kiswahili, akili mnemba linalotumika kumaanisha artificial intelligence halina maana ya moja kwa moja katika Kiswahili sanifu. Badala yake ni neno jipya lililobuniwa na wataalam wa lugha ya Kiswahili ili kueleza dhana ya artificial. Bandia ni jambo ambalo linatumika kama fake. That is not the correct way to. Katika muktadha wa teknolojia na akili. Kwa mujibu wa Bakita, who wants to tell me what the meaning of Bakita is? The first person who gets that right has another lunch with me. Bakita. Don't Google, please. Or don't AI it. Bakita, quickly. Bakita. Gone. Baraza la Kiswahili la Taifa la Tanzania. Kuhusu maneno na mambo ya Kiswahili. Kwa hivyo, going back to English now. I know some of you have been floating here. Go out with the right word for artificial intelligence in Kiswahili, please. Akili nini? Akili mnemba. Asanteni sana. Boss, nitafute lunch yako iko on me. So, coming back to our conversations around artificial intelligence and emerging technologies. And this goes to my brother Joe. How can emerging technologies be leveraged for positive impact in Kiswahili? And before you start,
In Kiswahili. Just confirm.
in Kenya. I am glad you caught that one. So, to repeat, how can emerging technologies be leveraged for positive impact in Kiswahili? Now, in Kenya. Now, honestly, guys, I would like us to have some serious conversations on this. Joy is just a guiding conversation. But if you have a burning issue, you can raise it. Ian, please go tayari na mic. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, thanks. That question is loaded. And it's it's not very easy to provide a very brief answer to it, but nevertheless, I'll try because I'm Joe as a service. There's one sentence that I learned at some stage in my career, and it's actually a simple sentence that summarizes technology and how it can be used in society. You guys remember the sentence that we used to recite in primary school that had all the alphabets? Do you guys remember that sentence? Yeah, I remember. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Correct.
It's similar. So normally when we say digital transformation, which really means in simple terms, the use of technology to do things better, more efficiently, in the context of a business or a society or a government. But that sentence that I want to define is very short. Intelligently connecting people, things, businesses, and government. That is the essence of digital transformation, that we should be intelligently connecting people, things, businesses, and government together. Now, let me break down each and every word so that you see how that definition captures everything that you need to know in the context of technology, in the context of the country that we are discussing. When we say intelligently, the word intelligence, why do we say some people are intelligent and others are daft? What is the opposite of intelligent? Unintelligent? You are just adding the prefix
Duanzi.
un. But the point is, intelligence, when someone is adjudged as intelligent, they have one innate ability. The ability to cut through loads of content and information and be able to provide the most precise insight around a given topic. Isn't that what artificial intelligence is here to help us in the world today? So because data is so huge, we're talking petabytes, exabytes. Normally people just leave it at gigabytes, but do you know the kind of data that we generate in the world today is so humongous that it is human infeasible for a human being to actually make sense out of that data. And this is where computers thrive. No wonder we throw these problems to computers. We're talking about GPUs. We started with CPUs. Now we are talking about graphical processing units because they have the ability to process data at scale. So the word intelligent there implies that we should use, in the Kenyan context and in the world, we should use technology intelligent, because you can use technology foolishly if you decide to do so, or unethically or wrongly. We have seen people who do unethical hacking, we have people who crack into people's systems, or you can connect things unintelligently. So the word intelligence takes all care of all emergent technologies like AI, like blockchain. Those are intelligent platforms. Then connecting. I come from a telco, so definitely people think that Safaricom is about connectivity. And connectivity is so important because we can't even talk emerging technologies without the network. The network remains the computer. If there's no network, whether it's a Wi-Fi connection, whether it's the mobile data that you're using, without the network, then we can't even talk about applications for AI. It would be immature or irrelevant. So the network connectivity will remain very important, and we, as a telco player in this space, will continue leading that area, including looking at emerging technologies around that. I'm sure you heard about Elon Musk and his exploits, and we look at them not just as a competitor. We look at how can we cooperate together. Then the connecting people I already explained. Things. The Internet of Things. Why do we call it the Internet of Things? Because there are a lot of things connected. I have seen someone with a smartwatch, I've seen someone with a phone, I've seen a camera that is intelligent, I've seen the air conditioning, the fridges in your house, your car. All those are things, aircrafts that are beaming data to the data center directly. All those are things, but how do we get data from those things? Because without data, then we are blind. To maintain an aircraft engine today, Boeing makes sure that it can tell this engine is being run by a Kenya Airways jet in Nairobi without talking to Kenya Airways, because there is a sensor there and they are streaming data. They can tell how, if it's Rolls-Royce, GE, they can tell how the data is performing. Then lastly, government. Government will always be there, whether you like it or not, because at the end of the day, people can be unruly. We have to always have a system of governance that helps a society to move forward. So government regulators will always be there, the taxman. They say tax and death are inevitable. So how do we integrate together? Government has automated how many services now? 20,000, 17,000 on the eCitizen platform alone. Those services are essential, and until we connect them to businesses and connect them to people, then we know that there will always be friction within. So that sentence is simple, but it summarizes how can we use emerging technologies to Kenya, and not just Kenya, but the globe. The internet has no boundaries, right? Do you need a visa to go online?
No.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joe. I love that explanation. Madam Kasait, as the Office of Data Protection Commission and as the head there, how are you starting to look at data and AI governance? What are the challenges that you're starting to see emerging? And how are you engaging with industry to ensure that you are actually an orchestrator as opposed to just someone who is, people perceive wrongly a lot of times that the Office of the Data Commissioner is there to stop us from doing business. So I want us to actually debunk that issue today and speak to data and AI governance. No. Over to you, madam.
Thank you very much for that question. By the way, on a serious note, I am very shocked that half the room had A's in maths. So I asked myself, am I in the wrong place? Then I remembered, it's tech.
Yes.
Yeah. So I knew maybe it's me who slept in class. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Just coming back to, I'll start with your last question about debunking why data is seen as a deterrent to technology. Then I'll talk to the challenges and how we can circumvent the challenges. I'll start from where I just stopped, that as human beings, without guardrails, we can be uncontrollable. That's the truth. And in fact, the theory is around internet, that when people started the internet, the conversation was, we want to have a platform which has no control, where no government can ask questions, and they should never tell us anything about it. And of course, it was running ahead of governance, and now we are trying to catch up. We are all getting shocked that it can become unruly. It can be the source of social distress. It's completely insensitive to culture. And we've seen this, there's cyberbullying. We've seen what has happened to children in terms of mental health. But we said it's okay. And then another case I'd like to bring to our attention is the case of Boeing. When people said Boeing was the best airline, and then they said cutting shortcuts. And then suddenly, there was a crisis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so human beings like shortcuts. That's the truth. They'll milk, and especially in business space, we may not agree, but they want the best. They want 100% profit at a minimum, at minimum investment. So if that's the theory that, or hypothesis, so if people say, this is going to get me there faster, they are likely to shortcut, and therefore find all ourselves in a space where it's unexplainable. So I would like us to look at, first, from data protection perspective, from a trust issue. When you understand that customer is king or queen, then you stop seeing data governance or as a deterrent. You start seeing it as a space where it tells us who I should be. Because the conversation in the world today and why everyone is uncomfortable, it's because it's true, we all, in the era of capitalist surveillance, we all were lured into a platform because I needed to speak to a customer, I needed emails, I needed to and then we all embrace platforms which I pay nothing. When in return, they were mining my information. And now we are asking them questions and they are wondering, what is it? What's the big deal? So in that comfort, we voluntarily gave our information. So we must ask ourselves, how intrusive is this information we are collecting? And we must do it. Just last week when I was in Abuja under the Network for African Data Protection Authority, we had an opportunity, a panel with MasterCard, and one of the things they said, they are using synthetic data to train. So I want to pose a question. Is that something companies are?
Could you just explain to us what synthetic data is?
I'm not the expert. I'm just drawing from somebody giving an example that it's not real people.
Yes.
They are not using to train their system so that way they are embracing data protection by default and by design. They're not using your data, my data. I mean, that is the example they gave. And I'm not in a space I'm just giving an example.
I get you.
Yes.
I get you. That's interesting.
It's simulation. It's called simulation. So you see, they're not using real people's data, but they're still getting AI right somehow. So the question you're asking about us from a policy and governance, if we know human beings at some point will misbehave, so it's inevitable we must put guardrails. Because a free fall can be a free fault and therefore affect the entire population. And we have seen it. And especially now, I want us to ask those questions now. We are seeing a world where we really have lost it. If you look to any corner, may the late Pope rest in peace, his sense of we are living in an era of an indifference. Imagine, we seem not to care. So guardrails are there to help us stop and reflect on what is important for humans. Because at the end of the day, we are humans. We have feelings. We have obligations. We live in society. And governance, in that sense, is there to help us reflect on what is important. And the same for data governance. For AI. AI governance is a topic that is not completely exhausted in this country. Some of you, including KICTANet, were members of the task force that came up with the AI strategy. And the idea is to come up with a strategy from a ministerial level and then a policy, because you also don't want to regulate, because you don't know what this will look like. So that is a guide in terms of what is it that we are. But of importance to me, you're beginning to see people speak about ethical AI. We are all speaking about ethical, and even all the people who are investing in this space, they are saying, these are the do's, these are the don'ts. Let's speak about accountability, let's speak about transparency, let's speak about privacy, let's a human right-based approach to AI. That is a conversation. What are the challenges? What are the challenges for us as an office? The issue around AI, we are engaged in terms of the ministerial conversation. We as an office are deliberate in terms of, we are very conscious, by the way, knowing we are not here to deter business, to be more facilitative and be around the table. We have made certain intervention in this space as an office to contribute to that. I will say, we still don't have a designated institution that is dealing with AI. Something that perhaps is a gap. Because you see, even data protection is much. When you add AI on top, it becomes even more. So that is one of the gaps that perhaps we can look into. The other thing is, even as we throw around words around AI, there is a lot of lack of awareness what artificial intelligence is to the local mwananchi. I'm happy Gigi and team are doing a good job going around to educate people on about internet governance. I think one of the topics that you have to be deliberate, and even those of us are doing, is AI, so that people are aware, so they're not caught off guard. The other thing I think is an issue of capacity. I was in India 2 years ago, and I remember they were pitching and saying, in 2 years, we want to have 1 million AI engineers. I am not sure we are driving that conversation at an education level in this country. So it is something I see private, public institution, many times some initiatives are driven by private sector, which I think is good because we are also promoting public-private partnership. But there's still an issue there in terms of capacity. I'm not sure we are talented. We like taking risks as a country. You just need to try something AI there, and next week some young people will have discovered something else. So we have the skills, but I'm not sure we are very deliberate. I think for me those are, I'll stop there in terms of the challenges. Yes.
Thank you so much, Madam Cassette. And the few last sentences you mentioned about being ready and whether we are deliberate enough brings me to my next question to Esther. As an institution, as a higher education institution, how are you seeing AI evolving, not just from a teaching perspective, but from how higher education institutions are collaborating with private sector and government? And I'm asking this because a few weeks ago, I hosted a group of students and their lecturer from a university from Canada. And the interest, by the way, it was at Strathmore. The interesting conversations that we had with those students and their lecturer, for me, was an eye-opener. The students were saying, 2 years ago, there was a complete, total ban on using artificial intelligence in the university. Today, the lecturers are teaching the students how to use artificial intelligence in how to respond and work on their thesis and their general research work. Now, what was interesting during that conversation was that we had a couple of senior lecturers from several universities in Kenya. I shall not name the names because I was embarrassed. One of them was like, no, we are not going to use AI in our universities. No, we are not going to do it. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you. Thank you, Ali. And I really do appreciate the fact that we cannot remain static. That's the one thing that tech has actually come to remind us. If we remain static, unfortunately, we perish. And we perish so badly that the West will look at us and they will actually get to see how badly off we are, yeah? If I was to comment, especially based on what we are doing at the School of Computing, I can assure you we are not in that bandwagon of people who are saying don't do AI. I teach across. I teach the undergraduates, I teach the postgraduate students, and one of the things that I have made deliberate in my classes is to sensitize my students about the fact that AI is here to stay. I will not start telling you, please don't go, please don't do, no. I will tell you, use it, but also use it responsibly. I will tell you for a fact that I think over the years, after I've read through many theses and dissertations, there's one thing that always stands out. If content is AI generated, you will actually get to know, but the student can actually beat you in that game because they get so consistent, yeah? Their thoughts flow so well, yeah? To the extent that you can see that this student has been enabled. They express themselves even better. Why would I fight such a tool as a lecturer, yeah? And I know for most of my students, when I deal with them in third year, at times I may almost want to give up. By the time we are done with that first semester of third year, my students are super, yeah? So I do not want to be the person who stands between them and being efficient, because I'm not telling them that this is a tool that you should dread. No, I'm telling them, go and use it, yeah? Because also the other bit that we have seen is that the moment our students graduate, they get into the job market. What are we telling them? They are going into a job market where there's need to do things faster. If I tell you to give me, for example, a concept or a proposal, and you take the next 3 days to generate a document, already that's a sense of inefficiency. So even your bosses will wonder, you know, where have you fallen from? Yeah? So I encourage them to use it and to use it responsibly. The debate is quite harsh because for sure some educators may be looking at it and saying, no, we are slowly being replaced. I can assure you, for you to actually get to a point where your prompts are so clear and so precise, you need a level of activity on these platforms so that you become very, very good at it, yeah? So we are not here to fight the technology. It's a growth aspect, yeah, that we need to constantly keep embracing. And that leads me to the other bit about our collaborations, yeah? There's a lot that is being done. There's a lot that is going on, yeah? When I look at some of the projects that we are doing with our students, we are right in the thick of it, yeah? I would like to thank Mr. Walubengo for that huge project that he has actually been training the young people, yeah, around things of data and all that, yeah, data protection. And one of the things that actually stands out as I work with my students, we always look out for projects that can have an impact on society. I discourage my students from just doing their projects for the sake of it. Don't write your thesis just for it to go and sit in the library. What is this that we can do for society? For me, that is very, very crucial, yeah? So we have to go out there and identify what is the pain point. Yeah, look at that farmer. What is the pain point? The fact that every morning they have to switch on their taps, and then at around 10, they have to switch off all the taps. At times, their farms are flooded to capacity. For me, that's a pain point because we are losing out on a lot, yeah? So if we collaborate, actually, our major point of struggle has actually been getting funding for some of our very good projects. Because what we have is a student working with the advisor. We actually come up with our set of sensors, our set of IoT equipment, very well done, and we can actually regulate the rate at which water is going to be dispatched to the crops at a certain level based on the amount of humidity in the soil, yeah? So already there is a level of efficiency that comes in, yeah? And that is where we are actually now looking at how can we train our models. We collect all that data over a period of time, yeah? And then now we actually can tell that the soil humidity goes down at a certain point. Let's activate, you know, let's activate all our sprinklers. Let's sprinkle the farm. The humidity is enough, let's switch off everything, yeah? So we need those collaborations. When we look at healthcare, we are currently in a project where we are doing something about predictions for neonatal mortalities, yeah? And for us, that's an eye-opener. There's one thing that we have always wanted to do, but we didn't ever have the ability to do it. We are collaborating, for sure. We are working with hospitals. We are working with Kenya Forestry, yeah, to actually work on AI-based projects. We are monitoring a lot of poaching, you know, within our forests, thanks to a grant that came through. We are also into mental health, yeah? How can we provide solutions for our students who are really struggling, coping up with their studies, yeah? Can we give them an assistant, yeah? We also have scenarios where some of our students just want to do research to help the bigger population. I had a student of mine who actually managed to get all the data from all our weather APIs, have that in a data set, and from that particular data, this particular student can tell what is the rainfall concentration across the country over different days, different months of the year. And as a result, we can work with farmers so that we'll tell those farmers, like some of us who are from Western Kenya, that in this month of May, where the rainfall is minimal, what do? Plant groundnuts. Yeah, they only take a very short period of time. They mature, you have your groundnuts. Then once that is done, go to something else. Yeah, so that is the nature of AI that we want to have with impact to society. We are not just doing research for the sake of it. Let us do research that has an impact on what people are doing, on making life better for others.
I love it, Esther. Thank you so much. Liz, the Internet Governance Forum model underscores the importance of involving all stakeholders: government, private sector, academia, civil society, and marginalized groups in decision-making and resource allocation. Let's speak to that when we are talking about AI ethics and governance. How can we take this model? I mean, we're already starting to do this. These conversations need to go beyond just having these groupings here. How can we take this IGF model, multi-stakeholder model, and ensure that we have ethical and impactful emerging technologies, of course, including AI? Over to you, Liz.
Thanks, Ali. I I feel like the volume is too high. It's making me get scared of my own voice. Yeah, that's a very good question. And I would like to say that internet governance has really evolved. 10 years ago, when you entered an internet governance space, you would see techies and governments, and they would be talking about technical internet resources, who to give domain names, how domain names are given, and things like that. But now things have really evolved. Now we are not just talking about open internet principles, which was the focus of discussion then. Right now we are talking about resources that are coming from the internet, acknowledging that these resources from internet and digital technologies, how they are spread out is going to determine who has power over what, who has more economic power, who has more intelligence, and all that. And this is, for the first time, I see an emerging technology stirring up so much global tension for the first time. It's because countries are also realizing that the person who will make the most benefit from artificial intelligence will actually command the whole world right now. And now we are seeing China, Europe, US, cutthroat business in the international stage. We've actually lost the plot. We're actually losing on diplomacy. Right now, countries are actually campaigning on digital sovereignty. So what does internet governance got to do with it? For me, I think this multi-stakeholder model and inclusive participation is more important for us in Africa than in any other part of the world. And I'm not just talking about when we are doing global negotiation, but even here nationally, because we're experiencing the emerging technologies. And when I say emerging technologies, because I don't want just to single out AI, but the whole ecosystem of data-driven technologies. Let me tell you one thing. AI is not being innovated in isolation. These technologies are being merged with others. So things like 3D printing, genetic engineering, with Internet of Things being merged with AI to produce even better technologies. So when we talk of AI, let us not talk of it in isolation. The point that I was driving before I went to that was that how we actually benefit from the multi-stakeholder model of the governance of AI is that we experience AI differently. Even now, researchers are saying that AI doesn't serve us because they're learning from data that's from outside, values that's from outside, so it doesn't really serve us as much. And how can we make it work here? I think Africa and even in Kenya, we have the most diverse societies. In Kenya, we have 43 tribes. Someone told me in Zambia they have, 90-something. How can we bring that diversity without involving everyone who is going to benefit from AI itself? The other thing, we are also talking about how to harness data. How are we going to also democratize how this data is going to be harnessed? Because most of the time we are talking about getting benefits of data or the values from data. We are talking about business, which is okay because economic development also enables us to enjoy other human rights. But what I saw from the Gen Z movement, people taking policies, putting them on ChatGPT and asking questions, and from the output of ChatGPT, they would make TikTok videos to explain to people how the bill is actually going to impact people. And that's how we got a very big traction of that Stop the Finance Bill campaign. And even my grandma from Shags would call me and say and give me points on the finance bill itself. Yeah, that's just to say that we've actually, apart from the economic use of AI, we also have a social use of AI. And when you're looking at stakeholders, internet governance is about bringing all stakeholders together, the diversity of it, men, women, different genders, stakeholders from different parts of the sector, private sector, so, civil society, and all that, to come see how this technology actually impacts them. For me, what I see is that we don't usually discuss enough how civil society can make use of data to develop our own economy, or even to build democracies. Because one of the challenges that we have is, even development challenges that we have, is democracy itself. And data is giving us so much intelligence. AI is giving us capability to extract information, not just information, even decisions from the data that we have. How can we democratize it so that it's not just for business innovation, but even we build an advanced data literacy where I can watch the TV, or I can get data from the CBK and ask AI intelligence question. What can I innovate from this? What does this mean about Kenya? What can I ask President Ruto and even my governor about some governance aspect of it? So for me, I think that's the value of a multi-stakeholder model. Each stakeholder giving an input on how they can actually benefit and even impact the society on these data-driven emerging technologies. Yeah.
Liz, thank you so much. You want to say something? Yes, Madam Kasait.
Lisa said that you get the best benefit by having a multi-stakeholders approach, because nobody is a know-it-all. And for us as an office, that has been our approach. Multi-stakeholder gives you the best output. But also to two issues. I was in Malawi, I think, earlier in the year. And one of the things I noticed, they actually have an act where instead of, in many countries in Silicon Valley, you then look for capital ventures who then invest. I have been asking myself this question. We are so quick in buying land in this country. There's a Broti Mafuta.
Boloti.
Yeah, but I'm listening to Daktari give examples of use cases and what we can do with AI, and I keep asking, is it that we are not pitching well? And why is it so hard to have those kind of startups in the capital market? Why is there a disconnect? We know that it's no longer giving you value returns to buy land. You can invest as little as 1 million shillings on a startup, which can give you value of 10 million, 20 million in 3 years. Help me understand. Maybe you people here in internet governance have an answer to that very serious problem of mind shift. Can we stop buying land? Can we start investing in startups that give us returns? Yeah. And then my other issue is around sandboxing. I think I wanted to just mention that that's an area of intervention moving forward in things that we are not very clear about. Can we sandbox? And Nigerian Data Protection Authority has already started. We are considering that. Then we don't get into a problem of, was it okay, was it wrong? We are all speaking the same language. Thank you.
Agreed. So much in agreement. And that issue of startups, that's a story for another day, but you are spot on. You are spot on. If we open that Pandora's box, I think we'll leave you at midnight. But let me just leave you with a thought that 10 of the most important tech startups in Africa today are not owned by Africans anymore. Tafakari hayo. And yet you have people who continue to put hundreds of millions of shillings and dollars into land. So your point. Now, I want to open this up to everybody. But I want to open it up with a very provoking paragraph or two of something I read a couple of months ago, actually sometime last year. This is, and I'm going to just read 2 paragraphs and ask questions, and then we open this up for conversation. I read should I call it a thesis or a paper that's called Situational Awareness, the Decade Ahead. Go to situational-awareness.ai. And it speaks to some of the things that Liz has said. This was written by a gentleman called Leopold. I can't pronounce the other name. You can see the future first in San Francisco. Over the past year, the talk of the town has shifted from 10 billion compute clusters to 100 billion clusters to trillion-dollar clusters. Joe, this is for you. Every 6 months, another zero is added to the boardroom plans. Behind the scenes, there is a fierce scramble to secure every power contract still available for the rest of the decade. Every voltage transformer that can possibly be procured. American big business is gearing up to pour trillions of dollars into a long unseen mobilization of American industrial might. By the end of the decade, American electricity production will have grown tens of % from the shale fields of Pennsylvania to the solar farms of Nevada. Hundreds of millions of GPUs will hum. The AGI race has begun. We're building machines that can think and reason. By 2025-26, these machines will outpace many college graduates. By the end of the decade, they will be smarter than you or I. We will have super intelligence in the true sense of the word. Along the way, national security forces not seen in half a century will be unleashed, and before long, the project will be on. If we are lucky, we'll be in an all-out race with the CCP. That's the Chinese Communist Party. If we are unlucky, an all-out war. You can read the rest. However, what does AGI mean? Simple. AGI simply means this in one sentence. Artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence refers to a type of artificial intelligence that can understand, learn, and perform any intellectual task that a human being can, across a wide range of domains and without being limited to specific predefined tasks. Discuss 20 points. Any AI engineer here, any person who wants in the room who wants to talk about this, don't feel shy. Please stand up, introduce yourself, and talk to us about AGI, and talk to us about what I have just spoken about. I hope you heard what I said. Let me just repeat again. www.situational-awareness.ai. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I hope I'll do justice to what you just said. But
We can hear you, sir.
Let me pick my book.
Meandika, you're talking about AI and you are writing down stuff still. The human side.
Thank you. My name is Robert Ford. I'm from Rwanda. and I saw this was Africa Tech Summit. So I thought we would meet very many people who don't speak Swahili, which you used. I appreciate that you say that, because this is a Swahili region.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Swahili is the widest spoken African language. So, my friend, just learn it.
I probably speak more Swahili than you do. I was speaking for the other ones.
We can have that conversation over a drink. Proceed.
But speaking, so my name is Robert Ford. I lead the Rwanda Internet Governance Forum, but I'm also a visiting lecturer at a small university in Japan called the Kobe Institute of Computing. But I also coordinate the private equity and venture capital investments from Japan private sector to Africa. So we bring some money to Africa, and that's why I wanted to speak to your narrative and to some of you who are speaking there. But also speak specifically to the conversation you're talking about. I teach blockchain at KIC, which is a component of artificial intelligence. When we look at the speed at which human ingenuity has evolved to create the technologies that we consume today, it leaves a space for each one of us to wonder what human relevance is going to be in the coming years. And I'm very glad you talked about the 10 years that you are talking about your script. Many years ago, my mother, who is now resting in peace, used to be a stenographer. She used to type on typewriters. When we had a microprocessor, everyone was very worried that jobs were going away. But there was a whole new shift of thinking on reskilling and repurposing. Where did the rooms that housed the so many machines go? Or what did they do? Which is repurposing. And where did all these stenographers after the Second World War, which predominantly were women, what did they do after the Second World War when with the advent of the microprocessor? So, to cut my long story short and give people space, I want to address a specific area that resonates with what you said, but which is in policy and regulatory framework. I was attending the Global IGF 2023 in Kyoto, in Japan. You probably were there. And we were talking about the GDC that was proposed by the United Nations, the Global Digital Compact, which is supposed to be a framework through which nations need to sit and agree on how equitably and responsibly we should consume AI. But what in this room, and I call everyone in this room, to bring to the attention of each one of you in this room, that as United Nations, you sit and agree on a global digital compact, but then you make it non-compliant. No one is compliant. They say this is a framework that's supposed to guide nations. Now, today, I'll read you a statistic here, and that's why I wrote this down. Today, military artificial intelligence is far more advanced in terms of autonomy and funding, driven by national security concerns and priorities, while agricultural AI, while impactful, progresses slower due to economic and scalability challenges. We are spending more money in research in AI in military to kill ourselves than to actually feed children that are going hungry on this planet. So it's nice to sit on platforms and discuss important topics, but not address things that need to kill us. Now, I call upon everyone in the room here. As Africans, let's forget about it. And in the same panel at the IGF in Kyoto, where I was, the G7 had been sitting in Tokyo, which is a city just 3 miles away by flight. And they were discussing on regulatory framework for generative AI for Africa. And I told them, I said, wait a second, come to Rwanda and benchmark from the policies that we have had 4 years ago. You're now discussing this. In Rwanda, In 2016, the drone technology, the zipline that drops blood, started with only 500 drops in a whole year. Today, they are dropping more than 500,000 medical supplies countrywide, circumventing all the costs that you would need to save life. So for regulation, we need to sit here in this room and we discuss as Africans what concerns us and how best can we consume AI. I don't know if I did justice to your question, sir. Thank you very much.
100%. Thank you so much. You see what I said about us sitting up here being just a privilege. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself, and I would like to hear more women stand up in front. However, having said that, on a light note, you can see that my panel is majority women.
Thank you.
Okay. Next. Yes, sir. Introduce yourself, please, and keep it short, because I do not want us to be between you and the cocktail.
Thank you.
So we can continue our conversations there.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Thank you, Ali. I'm not an AI professional, so I'll keep it very short. My name is Conrad Kerr, and I just want to make a comment. Recently, we had a war between deepfake and ChatGPT, and I was just asking myself, and OpenAI, and I was just asking myself where we are as a continent, because while the two are fighting, we as Africans, we are watching and waiting who shall win, and then we shall adopt the one that wins. And I think that's a very dangerous move, because eventually, even our medical, the medical field, the military field, will stay disadvantaged. And of course, I don't know what the panelists have to say about that, where we are as a continent in terms of setting up a powerhouse, a third powerhouse from the one that we have. And I have a question that has been presented by Twahir on the socials, because he couldn't post it. He's actually following up online, and this I think is directed to Joe. He says, we are seeing Gen Zs increasingly use AI tools, from deepfakes to bots to viral campaigns, to challenge authority, shape narratives, and shake the powers that be, from satire to protest. It is creative, disruptive, and sometimes uncomfortable. Is this ethical? Or is it simply the new digital language of dissent? And if not through tech, how else can they get heard in systems that rarely listen? That is from Twahir Hussein. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for bringing to our attention the online people that we seem to have forgotten. My apologies, guys. What you can possibly do is, after my sister has made her comment or question, if we can maybe post the online questions up here. If not, we will take them and somebody can pass them on to me on my phone. So we will take your question or comment, and then we'll come back to the panel to respond. So to your question, you have two issues: one, DeepSeek, and OpenAI, and the other one from Twahir on the ethical use of AI from Gen Z. Yes.
Hi, my name is Winnie Kamau. I wear several hats. And the hat I will respond to you with artificial general intelligence is that it's a reality. And Africa is not being left out. The young minds are innovating, and are innovating in a high speed. I love the fact that Rwanda, the guy from Rwanda, spoke about Rwanda. And it's true, Rwanda is doing great. Startups are moving to Rwanda because they have better playing field, like, so to speak. than in Kenya. I speak like this because, like Madam Kasaid said, why are we not investing that 1 million shillings instead of buying a piece of land? We can easily invest it in a startup. We have a startup on Africa Generative AI. It's a lab, and one of the things that we're working on, you spoke my mind, we're looking at indigenous languages. And one language is Kinyarwanda and Kirundi. I know they are similar, and we've already started putting it out. And very soon, all the indigenous languages will be able to be captured. We also have Samburu online and Maasai. So if you want to learn these languages, you can just learn them from your laptop or from your phone. And it speaks to you like a human being, and you can interact with it. And you can even have conversations, deep conversations for the Gen Zs. Going back to my question.
So before you, that link for that AI tool on languages, please share it so that everybody can be able to go to it after.
Oh yes, right away. Thank you.
All right, so we come back to my panel. Who wants to take the question from Toahir and the issue on DeepSeek? Yours and mostly not questions, right? Okay. Joe?
No, I think I can go first, and I agree with you. The audience really is surfacing very critical insights on this. And I think Madam Kasait handled the issues of policy and adoption very well. So I'll stick on the technical. I'll
okay.
go a little bit deeper on the technical now. Okay. But before I do that, if you are following current news, you know that the President of the United States is traveling to the Middle East, right? I can tell you, I was a fly on the wall, and oil was not discussed in Saudi. the discussion predominantly was on artificial intelligence. And Liz here said, it's the geopolitical topic of our time. Whomever will control artificial intelligence is as if they were controlling oil in the past. We as a country, we must be where the conversation is happening. So why is it so critical? Because if you look at the Saudi Arabia is a good reference for us to learn how actually to leapfrog when we start discussing things like AI. We can look to the Middle East, not necessarily to the West or the East. We can look to the Middle East. And Saudi Arabia has understood, number one, if you want to lead in the AI era or to play a significant role, let me not say leading because we might not necessarily be the leaders, but to play a vital role that is driven to the values that Dr. here was talking about, you have to figure out a couple of things, and they go back to the basic infrastructure. One, energy. You have just spoken about power and electricity. Remember, without electricity, we don't have computers, so forget artificial intelligence. That is an area that I think as a country that we are forgetting, that at the end of the day, the grid, the electricity grid is one of the most critical things to power AI. These machines, these GPUs are power hungry. If we don't, today we still suffer from blackouts, I don't know for whatever reason. If we can't figure that out, there's no point coming here to talk about artificial intelligence. That's the energy infrastructure. We must figure it out. That's what the Saudi guys are figuring out, and the rest of the world is understanding. Then let's talk about data centers. Where do you keep these machines? Why do you think data centers right now are the most important investment option? You will hear Saudi Arabia saying, we are going to invest $200 billion to build data centers, for example, in the US. So we as a country, really, are we really looking at the core infrastructure that will help us to power our own AI innovation, or we are paying lip service to ChatGPT, to DeepSeek, where we don't even know where they run? To be very honest, data centers, that's an area that we, either government as well as private sector, you will see, like Safaricom understands that. We have just brought up one of the most modern data centers in Limuru. Then let me go to the other thing, money. Money will be key for whomever wins the AI race. So let's just tell it like it is. The compute infrastructure that's needed for AI is quite costly. And we are talking about chips in your conversation. We are not where it's happening. I know that at Kemathi University, DECUT is, I think they have a semiconductor play. I think we don't talk about that enough, and we don't invest there enough. If we are going to depend on AMD, if we are going to depend on NVIDIA, if we are going to depend on all these players who build these chipsets, do you think they will be cheap for us? If we can't afford food for everyone in the country, now you can imagine the rest. So we need also to be practical even as we address this. So I just wanted to say that because the other questions had been asked. The question he asked specifically to me about whether we are seeing a change in how society engages or makes the leadership accountable. The truth is today, if you look at, and I'll give President Trump as an example, you see how he communicates. He does not communicate like other presidents. Is it true? If you want to know what he's saying, go to Truth Social, and you will get to know what he's saying directly. Meaning, he understands where the world is right now. Writing a memo and then distributing that memo using the government gazette, truly, that is stuff of the past. You need to be able to communicate to people in a language that they understand and the devices that they understand. So whether it's they are dissenting, remember it's a constitutional right to picket and to raise an objection or to participate in the governance. But we are not going to be doing that using the traditional ways. I'm a millennial, so I'm closer to the Gen Zs than the Gen Alphas. We cannot be doing that. We will engage the government in the language that it doesn't want to understand, but it will be forced to understand. That is what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let me just chime in on this issue of DeepSeek and OpenAI. Let me tell you guys, two things here. First, this is an arms race. This is an AI arms race. And we are not even nowhere near it. So that is something that we need to take cognizance of. Here's a very interesting thing that DeepSeek did when they launched. They launched their APIs for corporate integration and use of AI. Their APIs were comparable and similar to OpenAI's. What do you think? What do you think? Sorry? Reverse engineering? What else? Sorry? Copy paste? No, there's a reason why. And because of time, let me just tell you the reason why. See, guys, you have two types of artificial intelligence platforms. Yeah? To what Madam Kaisai talked about. There's the free version, right? I'm sorry to say this, but the free version is for the Watus. Then there's the paid version where they're making money. Now that free version that you are using, a few years ago, we were talking about social media. We're talking about Facebook, which was the most common then. And we were saying Facebook is a platform. And in a marketplace, because Facebook is a marketplace, social media is a marketplace. For those of you who are just twerking and, doing all sorts of stuff on social media and, still talking about your relationships, just know you are feeding an animal, okay? So you have four things on a marketplace, which is social media. And it sounds so old now, but that concept is still as relevant today. Now, in a marketplace, you have four key principles. You have the market itself, you have the product, you have the buyer, and you have the seller, right? So if you are not a madman, in between, because it's a marketplace, you have to have a madman somewhere. Spot on, Joe. So if you are not the madman, you are not the buyer, you are not the seller, and you are not the platform, what are you? You are the product. You are the product. So just don't use these things without situational awareness. Okay? Now, when it comes to AI, you can multiply that by 1,000, if not more. Be very careful, guys. Be very, very careful. Now, to that point, those APIs, it's very simple. What DeepSeek did is they are corporates that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to plug onto OpenAI's platforms to create their own AI agents. What DeepSeek just said, no, you can migrate seamlessly at a fraction of the price. That's the armrest we're talking about. Guys, it's 7:20. I know the conversation is getting interesting, but we can continue having this conversation over drinks. Are we hosting people for, Madam CEO, are we hosting people for a cocktail? We are at the top. So the conversations can flow with Kiroros. So I would like to allow my panelists to have their closing remarks, and then I'm hoping that they will stay at least for a few minutes. I know we are all super busy, but I'm hoping they'll stay for a few minutes for at least a drink or two, and then we can release everybody. Madam Kasait, over to you. Closing remarks.
I want to thank you most sincerely for moderating this session, and for Dr. Gigi and team. I think it's very insightful. I feel shortchanged. You would have had more time. I mean, listening, you don't want it to end. It's provocative, it's challenging, and I can't say more. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Karibu sana.
Thanks, Ali, and thanks to everyone for these wonderful conversations. In my parting shot, I would just like to say that AI is giving us an immense opportunity for human development. I like to look at it from a positive side of it. But we have to be proactive in deciding how it's going to work to us. Those benefits are not just going to fall from the sky, but we need to have these multi-stakeholder discussions to shape AI. The internet that we are seeing today is because people came and sat down and actually made decisions on how to shape the internet itself in a way that it evolves, in a way that it benefits everyone. So we still have challenges, we still have digital inequalities, but it should still be an ongoing conversation. So that's my parting shot, and I think we can't talk about AI governance without addressing data governance, because AI processes data to give you the output or the decision making that comes out of it. I'm also a very good proponent of data sharing, access to data as information for public good. Let's develop framework for access to data. Let also civil society access data pipes the way that businesses are also accessing data pipes for social good. Yeah, that's my parting shot.
Thank you so much. Joe?
I'll go first.
Okay, Doc.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Dr. Gigi, for the invitation. This is very much appreciated. And as my parting shot, I would like to encourage everyone seated in this room to take it upon themselves and actually just inform yourself about the dynamics that come with AI. There's one thing that is really lacking in our country, the bit that, yes, we know that it is there, but we don't know to what extent we can use it. It looks like this one big animal, and that is what is forcing people to ask, where are we in our country, for example? If you look at the amount of funding, as Joe mentioned, the amount of money that is being poured by the big countries out there to actually invest in AI, let us also be realistic. You know, Rwanda has gotten it right. Yeah, in many nice places, they have actually gotten it. Let's look back at our country. Yeah, what happened to the free laptops? Whoever asks that question?
AI.
Yeah, we want to have power in all our primary schools in this country. Where is that possible? Yeah, to the extent that we have not taken care of basics, then we are here saying that AI is the one thing that is going to lead this country. Let's also be realistic. Yeah, be the advocate out there and tell people, by the way, we have other things that are more pressing. Yeah, we need to take care of floods. How many times do we hear about floods? And yet it rains every year. Yeah,
Budalangi.
you know, and it is still going to rain. Yeah, and yet when we look, for example, at our country, look at Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills. The most amazing thing is that I have never heard of a flood in Rwanda. Yeah, because it is perfectly well drained. Yeah, think about it. We are still grappling with quite a number of things around our country. Yeah, and we need to also get realistic. Yeah, so we are trying our level best. And also the other bit is that we can actually advance a lot of our research in AI. However, what are we seeing? You put in your bit, you know, you have this nice solution, but who ends up with the funding?
Good point.
That's the point, yeah? Who ends up with it? This is somebody who may not even use that money for what it's supposed to be for, yeah? So we are still in that era of let's also get educated. We have a lot. We have a lot that we can do for our country. We can do a lot for our society. Let's be those advocates. Let's start by being the change ourselves. Let's be the people who are advocating for that positive vibe, yeah, around tech. Because not unless we actually get there, it's all going to remain in our degree certificates, in the nice research that we do, and that's it, which is really unfortunate. Yet, we have within our ability, yeah, something that can transform our country. It's not that difficult. Yeah, we only need like minds, people who sit down and they say that instead of investing in X, why can't we invest in Y? And that Y is actually in tech. Yeah? So those are the conversations that need to lead this country of ours. And thank you for inviting me, Dr. Grace, because I met John Carrier. John was my classmate in our MSc IT class. I was very happy to meet John. And as we were talking with John, we were actually thinking digital skilling, something as simple as, you know, we are privileged because we are sitting in Nairobi at the capital, yeah, and we can actually now ask the big questions. Where is the DeepSeek? Where is our ChatGPT? Yeah, yet when you leave this capital city, yeah, just get to Naivasha, yeah, get to Nakuru, go into the deep Nakuru, yeah, Njoro uko mashinani, ndani kabisa. Then you start telling children that there is AI. What will they tell you? You're dreaming. Our houses are too cold. We can't sleep at night. You know?
Basic issue.
It's basics that are actually bothering this country. So let's also get realistic. Yeah? We are talking tech because we're in the capital. Let's also look and see where have we not gotten the conversation right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther.
You are talking about Naivasha. If you take a flight from JKIA, it becomes dark at night. It just becomes dark barely 2 minutes into the flight. And I always feel very, very bad about it because people are in Ruai. Forget Naivasha, Ruai, you can run from here to Ruai if you are Kipchoge. Just 42 kilometers away. But those are the real issues. So thanks a lot, Dr. for hammering them. So thanks a lot again to Dr. Gigi for inviting me. It's great to meet you. And for Ali. I think I want to leave us with one fact. Remember, we are talking AI here, but let me also surprise you that AI is actually not new. It's not new. I'm telling you, the AI has been there since 1956. Who was born here? Yeah, exactly. AI was invented by the father of artificial intelligence. We call him, what is the name of the British mathematician? That Alan Turing. In 1956, he was still doing experiments to tell humans and computers apart. So why is AI now a very topical issue and this panel is weighing on it? Because AI right now has come of age. All the promises, even now, when I was at the university, by the way, studying computer, I was taught artificial intelligence 1 and 2. And that was in the year 2005. So let no one tell you that AI is new. What is new is the ability, what you can do with it and what you have been challenged to do here. So we should be taking this technology for a spin. You know the way you go to a showroom, don't leave the car looking shiny there. Take it and take it for a spin, because then you will know what that vehicle can actually do. So I'm challenging all of us. You can't, if you're not a driver, you have not trained yourself how to drive, then you can have the best Ferrari, a Formula 1 car, but you can't get any power out of it because you don't know how to take it. So you are the people now at the cusp of a revolution. This is a revolution. It's not an evolution. You know the difference? A revolution of the earth and rotation of the earth. Those two things are not the same. This is a revolution, but we are only going to, if we capitalize on the revolution, you will be the catalyst and we'll all benefit. But another thing, and I think Dr. Ari alluded to it, tech is not just for tech purposes. We need to do tech for good and tech for impact. That's very, very important. Sometimes we just, when I was in college, I think we used to program for fun. Right now, you should not be programming for fun. You should be solving a real problem. And these problems are in society. They are in how we feed, they are in how we farm, they are in how we study, they are in how we detect fraud. These things which affect society on a day-to-day basis. Find your niche, find a problem that bothers you so much that you want to throw technology at it, but don't do it alone. Collaborate. Collaborate. Collaboration is the name of the game nowadays. Don't think that you will achieve everything alone. So those are my parting shots. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you very much. I want to leave you with my parting shots on this. And I want to quote Amara's law. My first parting shot. We tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. This observation simply captures a recurring pattern in how society reacts to technological innovation. When a new tech emerges, there's often a surge of excitement and inflated expectations. People expect rapid, sweeping changes. However, when the tech fails to deliver immediate, transformative results, disappointment sets in and interest may wane. Remember, AI was 1958. It's just now that we are starting to. Over time, as the tech matures and becomes more integrated into daily life, its true and often profound impact becomes apparent, far beyond what was initially imagined. So, Amara's law, please remember that. And my last parting shot is going to be in Kiswahili. Teknolojia ni kama moto. Inaweza kupika chakula au kuchoma nyumba. Je, mko tayari kuitumia kwa busara? Let me repeat that. Je, mko tayari kuitumia kwa busara wa Afrika wenzangu? Au tutangoja mpaka ituchome? Tafakari hayo. Asanteni.
Thank you for that.